Ladies and gentlemen, grab your gloves and get your compost ready. Stepping into the ring is the perennial powerhouse, the sultan of soil, the beast of the beds, where permaculture reigns, food grows wild, community roots run deep, and yes, the garden punts hit hard. Freedom starts in the soil. This is the Guerrilla Gardening Show.
Welcome back to the Guerrilla Gardening Show. I'm Mike with Mike's in the Garden, back with Sam from Central Florida Abundance. What's happening, Sam?
Going on, Mike? What's going on, y'all? It's another day out in the garden, and I think today we might get into some tips on how to start your gardens. You know, what to do if you're starting with a lawn. You know, you're starting with a bunch of low-growing plants that you don't want there. Uh, but you got a good trick for getting rid of that, right, Mike?
I do. I think we'll start off with kind of taking a look at the food forest as it once was a piece of grass.
Yeah,
And
that's how a lot of ours started.
yeah, and all right. So
This was your beginning food forest.
yeah,
All your stuff
this was
ready in pots.
my potted garden here.
Hey, my
And
yard started out all in pots.
yeah, so
Wow.
that's, you can see where I had spray painted and outlined where everything was going to go, our garden beds to the right. But, your typical Florida sandy grass landscape, and how I was able to, for a period of time anyway, eliminate this. Um, Obviously some of these grasses persist, but for the most part, um, you can see it was all grass here. So
Yeah. And before we get into like what you did, you know, a lot of the real way to like mechanically remove the grass, uh, getting it all out, you got to make sure you get every bit of stem out. And the real issue is, planting in through that like dense matted web of stems and roots from those grasses make it really difficult. And I mean, honestly, I've removed a lot of grass areas like this by hand. Uh, and I mean, by that, I mean tilled to break it up and then just raked it out bit by bit. And it is definitely a grueling process. It's not really something that can be scaled. Um, and it is very thorough, as thorough as you're willing to be. But it'd be nice to see, a method that's a little bit more doable for most people, a set it and forget it, if you will.
yeah, so for the where I had the garden beds, we did dig out, we actually dug out about 12 inches into the ground, and we filled it with it's basically a hugelkultur beds, all of those.
Hmm.
So that's how um we got that going.
But what did you use to get the grass out of your garden? I want to see these dramatic videos.
Okay. Well, you're probably gonna be a little disappointed, Sam, but um I'm gonna show you my method, and so far, so good. Well, for the most part. But this is one section that eventually turned into a much larger section. But um, so where the blocks are bordering here, I definitely used a pickaxe and dug up a whole border. And so we
Oh, okay.
eliminated, you can kind of see like around the blocks where there's, fresh dirt dug up, over to the side where the trellises is as well. Um, we just hand dug with some pickaxes and just dug up all that earth. Moved the earth. I think we put the earth like in an area for compost. Um, basically just an area where things will sit for months until they die or grow into a mound. But um,
What was your reasoning for removing like the soil?
well, I was trying to remove this top layer of grass. This is kind
Hmm.
of like I don't know if it's really St. Augustine, but it is that thickly interwoven. And so part of my reasoning was where I was going to be planting, I wanted to remove the grass that was there, put a layer of cardboard on top, and then you'll see in this video, I got some really good garden soil delivered.
That does look real good.
Yeah. Um, and so I got a few yards of garden soil, which immediately filled up all the beds. And then we did a small layer of mulch on top. And so this was kind of, I don't know what the height of these blocks are, 6 to 8 inches. So, at least that was our way to get started. Now, what I did not do in this video is water down the cardboard. I'm pretty sure
Mm.
we watered the soil after. Um, but from experience and learning as you go, you're kind of activating the cardboard by watering it and getting it to start breaking down.
Yeah, it can take because if you put all those layers in and then water it from the top, it takes a long time for that water to first, saturate all that soil that's probably pretty dry and then make its way down to the cardboard. So it takes a ton of water and, you got to do it slowly so it's not running off. So just doing it layer by layer really helps and it helps that like decomposition process. And it also helps the water pass through the cardboard to get down to, the real soil underneath. So when you did this, I mean, uh, I see it done all sorts of ways. Were you planting immediately, or were you just setting this up and then coming back to it later?
I would say I had planted within a week or two. So, this was August, so there's a good chance, we were getting rain several times a week.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a good
so
time of year to do it. Do you remember much about like planting into the bed? Like if breaking up cardboard or what you encountered as you dug into it?
yeah, years later, this this is funny. What we're looking at probably eventually expanded to like 3 times the size of this. So basically, this was an area behind one side of the pool, and then I just extended it to go around the entire back of the pool. So almost it's like a perfect square off the back of the pool.
Huh.
Um,
So this is where like your moringa and the cranberry hibiscus and the longevity spinaches all are
yes.
now
Yep.
huge plants.
Yes. Yep. And I could tell from um when I had some sweet potatoes in here, which there's still sweet potatoes in here. Um, just either digging up sweet potatoes or when we were planting I'm trying to think what else we have in here. Now we have scattered through here like some aloe vera, pineapples, and those
Yeah.
plants, there were remnants of the cardboard. So, maybe a 6 inch square piece or something like that. And it
Well, that's
was
not bad.
very, very frail. So that was
Yeah.
definitely months later, possibly even 6 to 12 months later. But um, yeah, I think for my first time, it worked out okay for me.
Absolutely. It's a great way to suppress, the growth under there because I mean, it takes a lot. It takes a lot more for the grass or whatever to grow through that cardboard than to just grow through straight soil or mulch. And, it's all about depleting the energy budget of the plants you're trying to eliminate. Now, I mean, I use cardboard a lot in the garden too. I've done this method. What I'm always interested to know is, when people do it, how much effort are you putting into removing all the non-cardboard material from the boxes?
Well, stick around because one of the videos I have is how to get cardboard where you don't have to remove anything.
Oh, now that's a good trick.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, I will add a caveat here, probably a hot take. I might get some hate for this, but you know, everybody's getting boxes from Amazon. Everybody's getting boxes delivered. You get that tape that you can pull off, but it leaves all kind of remnants. In my experience, I've when I've had to use cardboard that's had the tape on it, when you pull the tape off and you leave the remnants, those little fibers end up getting all in the garden. I've found you can either wet it heavily, and sometimes it'll peel off a lot easier. It may still leave some of the glue, which they say is environmental friendly. I don't believe that for a second. Um, but I have noticed if I just leave it on, eventually I'll come across a strip of tape or plastic in the garden, which isn't ideal. It's not what you want, but it's a lot easier to just pull that out later on after the cardboard has decomposed. And, I mean, the plastic's not going anywhere for 1,000 years. So to me, that was just a lot easier and saved me a lot of headache from having to peel a whole bunch of tape off.
I can definitely agree that I mean, in my own gardens, especially early on, I definitely opted for that same method of let's just remove it later. And that's an interesting point about all the residue, because I mean, it does, you never get it all off when you're ripping the tape off, and those, I mean, yeah, that, I mean, it might just be a good way to justify it, but
Sure.
it does, make it really easy, especially if it's an area you're planting into. If it's an area for you personally, you know what to expect. If you're doing it for other people, you know, leaving tape in their garden may have to come after a conversation and an agreement. But for your own, you know, do what works. It's better than doing nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I have this other video here where, okay, yeah, it was a little more life in this one, so we'll be able to see a little contrast and how a year or so later we added more cardboard. So this is a year after our food forest has been in. You can see it's a lot
This is
different.
the
You can,
dramatic shift I wanted to see. Come on,
yeah,
this is not
yep.
disappointing at all.
So over here to the left, where we have this very healthy looking lemongrass, um, this between this lemongrass and the other one you see in the distance there, that is the little bed we were just looking at in the previous video.
Yeah, I can see
Okay.
those white stones that were there before.
Yep. And so I ran out of the white stones. My neighbor threw away all these red stones here. So
Perfect.
and a lot of these stones, all these barrier blocks on the side to the right here, making up this path, those were all either left by the previous homeowner or, people in my neighborhood that, I mean, they're ugly blocks, but I mean, they can serve a purpose. So in this case,
Yeah.
they have. And so it may be hard to see here, but if we're looking like directly at the bottom of the screen, that is like 12-month-old compacted mulch, and it's depleted of whatever nutrients it was going to give. And now I'm ready for another chip drop, and so I get myself some more cardboard. I'm layering this on top because as you can see down towards the right here, we've got grasses coming back in.
Hmm.
And so even though we've layered the cardboard, layered the mulch, this grass is finding its way back in. So I'm trying my best to smother it with the cardboard here, and we'll do a quick little time lapse. Everybody likes time lapse videos, but
Oh yeah. Well, this
um,
is, I mean, pretty much standard when you're bringing in mulch and If that's what your system's getting mulched by, you're gonna need a new big deposit, usually every 12 months or so. And you know, at the beginning of this, the way you have your cardboard laid out is really ideal for, optimum suppression of growth. You've got it layered, kind of in a scale pattern. See what you're doing here? You're tucking them in under. That's what people need to do. When you just have the cardboard sitting next to, even if you think it's as close as you can get, there's still going to be gaps. This way, you're eliminating, any space for plants to pass through. And, you know, it seems like a lot to do every year, but if you're not growing mulch plants that you have to maintain, it's a once a year project. I mean, your yard's honestly pretty large. It looks smaller now that everything's in it, but you got a
Sure.
decent sized backyard. And how long did it take you to like, I mean, it looks like you're mulching that pathway in this area all at once. Was that like a day project?
Yeah, a couple days probably.
Couple days? Well, still, that's not bad. I mean, I spend a couple hours a month out mulching things in my yard, and that just kind of, you add all that together and you do it all at once.
Yeah. Um, Another little tidbit to throw in there. On the right side of this video, you can see where I have some cardboard up against the fence.
Hmm.
Now, we'll get into the cardboard and how you can get yourself some free juicy cardboard. But a lot of the cardboard has bent edges, and so I would push them right up against the fence, and that way the mulch will go up. And so, um, 6 months from now, that top layer or that top piece that's up against the fence, anything that didn't get the mulch layer on top of it, I'm just going to pull those pieces of cardboard out. Those, were exposed to the sun. They're not breaking down, and I'll just tuck those in somewhere else. And, but it can make the bottom part of that fence rot away as well. So something to be mindful of.
Yeah, it's something that I really like to do against chain link fences because when you're mulching against those, the mulch will just fall through. And so, you curl that cardboard up and then you can get a couple inches high of mulch.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, you're totally right on a wood fence. Just don't do it too high. And, understand that your mulch is going to, wherever you leave it when you're done applying, it's going to shrink by half in a few
Yeah.
months.
Yep.
And so, just don't pile it up 8 inches against the fence and it'll be fine in a couple months.
Yeah, and a lot of these panels here we either replaced or fell down and replaced during a hurricane. So, these are 10, 12-year-old fence panels. Um, you know,
I'd say if you want your fence to not rot out, don't build a fence like this. This is a terrible kind of fence for Florida. The wind, the rain, the humidity, they just do a number to these fences and you're gonna end up replacing it every 10 or so years, no matter what you do.
yep. Yeah,
So
we've
just
been
rot it out with mulch. Just plant the hedge there instead.
piece by piece. I've seen people doing cassava fences. You seen this recently?
I don't know if I've seen that, but I could definitely imagine it.
Yeah, they just
Cassava
strip all
shapes so
the
good.
yeah, they just strip all the branches off it and just line them up straight and straight.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Okay. Well, now it's time to
You're gonna give us your secrets
yeah, I'm
where
gonna
you're
give you
getting
the
all this
skinny
free
here.
cardboard.
Yep. So this is what your vehicle should look like after you've made a trip to Wally World. So everyone lives near a
Oh,
Walmart, okay? And I'm going to show you how to get specific pieces of cardboard where you don't have to do a thing other than maybe break down some edges, but no tape, no stickers, no coloring, you don't want to use like a cereal box or a box that like diapers come in where it's like painted or
Yeah,
plastic
no
cardboard.
colored dye, not a lot of dyes, nothing
Right.
glossy. You don't want that like acrylic kind of cardboard. Now, I wasn't aware that Walmart was in the business of giving away things for free.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you my method here. Um, I found out, and I used to work in a grocery store, so I kind of knew this is how it worked. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, they would get shipments in at night. So if you went on a Wednesday morning, all the shelves would be completely full. Friday morning, all the shelves would be completely full. So on Tuesdays and Thursday nights, they would restock the shelves. So they're doing that overnight. They're waiting for the store to close to restock the shelves. Well, if you go on a Tuesday or a Thursday night and you can find out from your local Walmart when they get their shipments, it's probably 3 times a week. So probably a Saturday night, I would think too. So I would go at 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. People have been shopping all day. And so what happens is you walk down some of these aisles, going on a little too long here. Um, and here we have like a pretty much empty box of toilet paper. So I'm just taking the one thing of toilet paper out, putting it next to the rest of the toilet paper, and now I have myself a large box, very large.
Huh.
Okay.
That's not
And,
where I thought you were going with that. That's interesting. You're really helping them out, getting all that out.
well, and then canned goods, um, these are like very hard, like tough boxes, but also, um, there's nothing on them. They're
Yeah. They're
it's
probably just a couple layers thicker.
Yeah, they have their painted logo on there, Gatorade boxes. I mean, if anything, I'm saving them money on labor breaking these boxes down. So no one ever complained. No one ever came, asked me what I was doing. I had a lady ask me for my receipt once when I was walking out with a carriage filled with boxes. And
What did you say? Like, you're like, here's the receipt for the things I purchased.
well, then she goes, "What's going on?" And I said, "These are for my garden." And she goes, "Oh, you're moving?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm moving." So
You bringing your garden with you? She
yeah,
needed a bunch of trays.
yeah.
I feel
So
like if you tell people though it's for your garden, they become very understanding and curious. They're like, "Oh, gardening's cool."
I had because I did this over the course of weeks and filled up my garage with what you saw in the trunk of my car. I probably did 10 loads of that.
Wow.
Um, over the course of a couple months, even preparing for the chip drop, preparing for, when we started to install the food forest. And so, over the course of going there several times a week, I would have people come up to me and, "Hey, do you know where this item is?" And I said, "No, I don't work here. I'm taking these boxes home."
You're just always there.
Yeah. And so I mean, I got in a conversation with a couple people because, like one person was kind of looking at me and I just explained what I was doing and said, "Oh, that makes sense." And then another person, one of the people, I mean, it had happened a few times. Someone asked me, for directions or where they could find something. And I explained to them, "No, I'm just here breaking boxes down." But
Wearing
in
a blue
this,
shirt.
in this aisle here, we can kind of see, maybe not, but where all these packages of water are.
Yeah, we used to call them slip sheets.
Yes, they put
Big
these
layers of
little slip
cardboard
sheets, yep, in
for the whole
between
pallet.
to separate the layers of the packages of water. And so that was a little bit too much work. I wasn't trying to
Hmm.
move all these around, but sometimes you'll find, one
Yeah,
or two there and you can just pull it right out, easy peasy.
and
Um,
the store loves that because those things are awful to dispose of.
yeah. And I have also, and the boxes that I show you here in this video, canned goods aisle, the Gatorade aisle, and the toilet paper and paper towel. Those are the bigger boxes, the toilet paper and paper towel. And the reason I like the smaller ones as well is because, earlier in the video there, if I have an area and I just need to stuff a little piece in, I'm just going to take one of those smaller boxes, tuck it underneath, get it around a corner, however it is. Um, the larger boxes are great. They take up more area, so you have less cardboard that you need. Um, but in those little areas going around a mulch bed or around a corner or something, those little ones come in handy.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, you know, the big boxes, I end up cutting them up smaller because they're always kind of awkward and, the goal is to eliminate any gaps and, the big boxes with the once you unfold them, they don't, they have spaces in between them. So you got to make sure that at least you're double covering or just doing something to cover up those spaces. But if you did your whole yard in, small, solid Gatorade flats, you'd be perfect. Or those sauce can things, it'd take a while. That's better than landscape fabric, I bet.
Yeah. Now, there are quite a bit of Charmin and Scott's, I guess, that does the paper towels and the toilet paper. Some of those large boxes, they may have, like an awkward shape towards the end, but that's where I would just lay those down first and then tuck the Gatorade boxes in around it. And then, you can double layer. And the great thing about it, let me bring back one of these other videos here. The great thing about all these pieces here is um, because of when you're breaking the boxes down, it's no longer a square. It's like a square with like little arms or feet on them, right?
Yeah.
And so to me,
A,
I've
a
found that
series
that
of
was,
rectangles.
yeah, I found it was a lot easier to, this is the one I'm looking for here. So over here on the left, Angel Soft. That's definitely
Yeah.
something you wipe your ass with. So, I
So
mean,
that's like one of those boxes that's big. When you unfold it,
right.
there's tons of gaps between the flaps.
And you can see how it's tucked actually over to the right too, where the bounty box is. You can kind of see like jagged edges. And I just took these smaller boxes and tucked them in. So over on the right here, where this pile of cardboard is, those are like my smaller pieces where when I
Hmm.
find gaps, I can just tuck them in there. And as we drop and lay down the mulch, if I need to, I can just tuck some more in there. But
This
uh,
is some of the nicest cardboard placement. Like some of the most meticulously
very
done
meticulous,
cardboard
yes.
placement I've ever seen. That's how you be successful. This is why you can, do your once a year mulches and, you really don't have much grass left now. In this back area, I guess this is an area that you kind of have some grass, isn't it, now?
Yeah, it's been over a year since I've done the cardboard and the mulch, so it's definitely due.
This
I've
looks like
been
it's a
stocking
while
up.
ago. Look at those plumerias over there. They're like 2 feet tall.
Yeah. Yeah, this is over 2 years ago now. So probably 2.5 years ago. This was probably July 23, I guess. So um but you can even see way in the back here towards the house another pile of cardboard back here.
Hmm.
So um and then
I mean,
I
that's a great tip. I have not heard that one before. I know people always say go check the dumpsters out back and whatever, but usually the stores don't want you doing that, so there's more risk to it. But going in and taking the empty containers off the shelves that, they don't want to spend the time throwing away anyways, and they got to pay to get rid of that. And then there's no trespassing, no liability issues. You might have to get friendly with a couple people, but hey, we always welcome that.
yeah, I will say you did remind me of something. I was out back Walmart one day and they had huge boxes. I don't know what was shipped in these things, like bicycles or something. I mean, they were huge, okay? And so I go inside and I mean, where the dumpster and the boxes were by like the sporting goods. So I found someone
Oh,
over
okay.
there and I said, "Hey, I noticed you had some boxes out back." And so the kid's like, "Oh yeah, come on back." And so I pull my car around. He meets me out there. We start bringing these huge pieces of cardboard out. And then, whether it was the sporting goods manager or the store manager
Oh
or
no.
something, exactly what you said, Sam. She was like, no, no, I'm cutting this off right now. So while I'm continuing to, I'm just like, I'm sorry, I didn't, I'm just trying to. And she's like,
Oh.
stop, please stop. And I'm like, it's just like one more, and then I'm almost done. So,
He was just trying to be good. He was like, "Yeah, we don't need these boxes. Let's get rid of these
yeah,
things."
yeah. He was
You
like, well,
know,
it's less work I have to do. And so,
it's always
um,
the corporate red tape that gets you. Uh,
hopefully I
but
didn't
yeah,
get the young guy in trouble. But also, when you're walking through the store, depending on the day or the time of day, there it is the responsibility of the workers to remove those boxes when they're replenishing the shelves. So a lot of times you may see them with a cart filled with cardboard that's going out to the corrugated recycled dumpster. And so a lot of times I would just, hey, can I grab these? And I would just grab like a pile and put it right
yeah.
into my cart. Um, Now, a lot of those would have the tape and everything else. So,
Mm.
my strategy was more selective. But as I got towards the end of my chip drop, and it was like, I just need cardboard, I was just going and getting as much as I could. Now, I can also tell you that a lot of the like potato chip companies, they reuse their own boxes. You'll see them break them down, fold them flat, put them on their
Yeah.
cart, bring them back out. So you can ask, but they're probably not going to take care of you. But um, hopefully this provided some people with some ideas to head to their local Wally World, or I
Yeah,
don't know
any
what's.
big box store. I mean, any grocery store is going to have that same thing at the end of their shipment cycle. There's going to be empty boxes on the shelves. And most of the time, I mean, they don't really care if you take them from inside. Uh, but definitely cardboard is something that I think most people, have heard about using in the garden, and it can be incredibly useful. It's just all about knowing how to do it well and where to get it. That's usually the biggest hurdle because, I mean, if you're going to get them all from Amazon, you're going to be ordering a lot of packages, and that'll be a really expensive garden.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, this is what your carriage should look like when you leave Walmart. You can see, and I broke down a lot of these. You can see the flat ones at the bottom. We got some
I
of
can't
those
imagine the
mats in
looks
there.
you got walking out of there. And they were like, "What is this dude doing?" You're
I
like,
mean,
"I'm
it
building a
is
house."
it is Walmart, but there's there's Wal Martians there, as I call them. But this is how your carriage should look when you leave Walmart, filled up with some cardboard, ready to decompose in your garden, and pretty much zero work other than just breaking those corners, which I guess you don't have to do, but it does make it a lot easier.
Come on, y'all, put in the little bit of effort, and it's gonna make it a lot better in the end.
That's it. That's it.
Well, that's
So
great.
yeah. Anything else we want to add about cardboard, Sam? We got about 2 minutes left.
The only thing that's popped into my head that I wanted to share that I'm sure somebody will say, but cardboard is a really great way to draw earthworms into your system. They love using that material, having it on top. And then that's why also wetting it thoroughly as you're applying those layers makes it, more attractive to the worms. And so, fill your gaps, wet your layers, and then do it again in 12 months.
There you go. Free cardboard for all. Maybe that's the name of the video, but free cardboard for your garden. We'll see what we come up with by the time this video comes out. Hopefully there's a catchy title attached to it. So all
Free
right, Sam.
gardens from cardboard.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Tell everyone where they can find more of you, Sam.
Yeah, you can check out Central Florida Abundance if you're looking for somebody to put cardboard on your lawn. You can see us on Instagram, Facebook, and right here on YouTube. You could also check out the Igo Family Farm on Instagram and igofarm.com, where we sell our weekly produce boxes. Our next season will be starting at the end of March, so stay tuned for that.
And you can follow me, Mike's in the Garden, pretty much everywhere. You're going to see all the logos coming across your screen right now. So you can head to one of those if you like, or just follow us here on YouTube. And if you want to get yourself a shirt, this one just dropped. Fresh, hot off the press here. This is Mount Slashmore. You can head to the Etsy shop at the link below and
The
get
all
yourself.
stars on there.
That's it. Get yourself a nice shirt. Sam, I want to call you real quick because I want to set something up for coming back
Okay.
out here and the pruning
Cool.
stuff we were talking about there. So I'll call you in just a moment.
All right, yeah, I think we're out of time.